This is our level of quirk.
It's come off, it's off the wall, it's down.
So we switch over to part 2 of our high wire Tuesday trapeze act.
I'm a sucker for a blue flower. Slow weekend for us, and it's been a busy start to the week. We've been doing lots of so cute. We've been doing lots and lots of housekeeping and cleaning and tidying today. And what has been such a lovely start to the week is that Olive's birthday gifts have arrived. So it was her birthday earlier in April. I posted something about it, and this company reached out to us that do kind of cat toys and supplies. I think they do kind of like the scratchy posts, and they do some bowls, and they do a whole bunch of different things. And they reached out to Mars and said, we would love to send Olive a little birthday gift, which is so kind of them. They have sent us out a water bowl, a water fountain.
Hysterical.
Which I think is just so gorgeous and cute. It's going to be perfect because I'm going to keep it in this room, in the garden room. So we've got our succulents and our cactus at the other end. So it's going to be very apt for this room. Then I think they've sent another set of feeding bowls.
They have.
So just ceramic bowls, which is perfect because even though we do have the automatic pet feeders, which are for the biscuit dispensing, we do give them soft food. So those will be perfect for their soft food.
I actually think what's going to be quite interesting about this is obviously it comes with the bowl and the lid goes on top of it like that. And what's interesting about it is because it covers the water, so technically it shouldn't be getting any algae in there.
Oh,
because there's no direct sunshine onto it, which is the problem that we have with some of the other ones. The algae really builds up over time.
That's true.
So I'm wondering whether this won't be a little bit better with regards to that anyway.
So because this room gets so much direct sunlight, even though we only have ceramic water fountains, we have noticed that just because of this sheer amount of UV and sunlight that comes into this room, it can make the bowls a little bit kind of algae susceptible or slimy, which is not great because obviously then the pump starts to clog up, and that's a bit of a pain to try and clean. But how cute is that though?
Oh, that's awesome.
I think it's so cute. So the company is called happyandpolly.com, and it's so lovely that they've actually sent the feeding bowl kind of in the matching kind of greeny colours, which is actually our colours. So it's
That's
just,
so true.
Yeah, it's completely our colours. It just comes on this little stand.
That's kind of elevated so that they don't have to reach down and eat off the floor, apparently.
Yeah, so apparently
Helps
something...
their posture to just be a bit more upright when they're eating.
Yeah, which is really a very clever idea. It seems like a good amount of water as well, doesn't it? I mean, that's going to hold a decent amount of water. Oh, it's decent. At
1.5 litres. Double filtration system, smart power on off, super silent.
For plant lovers, this is absolutely adorable. I just don't think I've seen anything like this before, like this kind of novelty kind of idea, but I think it just actually makes it a bit more...
Yeah, totally.
Kind of as part of the aesthetics of the home.
It's quirky, but quirky and nice, because so often you get kind of quirky and...
Crazy,
yeah.
And we're not quirky and crazy.
We like the odd quirk.
Yeah. Like, you know,
this is our level of quirk.
Yeah. So thank you very much, Happy and Polly. That is so generous of you and very, very sweet. And it's just lovely because they've got one bowl each for their soft food. And then they've got a lovely water fountain. What more could they ask for?
Today we're going to attempt a job that we've been intending to do for quite some time. The satellite dish has got to go.
Well, I'm very surprised about that. That was actually a lot easier than either of us anticipated. It's come off, it's off the wall, it's down. We're just taking the ladders back through the hill across the wall is absolutely covered in lambs this morning. They're all up there everywhere and they're just sunbathing and enjoying this lovely sunshine. It was a bit of a chilly night for them last night, so we're hoping that that was the last really cold night and that they can really start to enjoy some nice warmer spring temperatures now.
So we switch over to part 2 of our High Wire Tuesday Trapeze Act. We're going to clean up the ivy on the wall behind us. We do this twice a year, and we found that the sooner you do it, the better, because if you leave it too long, it actually starts to get in the gutters. So that's what we're going to do next.
So Mars did an excellent job. He's been an apprentice for the last maybe 5 years. He's been the one who's been holding the ladder, and I've been the one that's been going all the way up there, and most of the time we've let the ivy go and I've been working at the actual right there along the gutter, pulling it all off. So the last time we did this, I said, that's it, I'm not working this high up and pulling this off, it's a nightmare. So Mars promised to do it this time, so that's why we didn't let it go too much. We literally let it just grow a little bit to there, as you can see, and so we just took it off. And I've got to say, it was so much easier this time for him because the ivy was still, it was young ivy, it wasn't kind of really thick, so he could just pull it off to where it's like kind of the older ivy. So we just kind of leave that on and make sure it doesn't get kind of basically into the windows up towards the roof line, because once it gets going it can just go really quickly and kind of take over the whole wall, and we really don't want that.
And because the shoots were quite tender, the little suction caps weren't actually stuck on that much.
Yeah,
so just
true.
prying it with the knife and just pulling it away, it broke really easily.
Yeah, when he says suction caps, it's kind of like ivy kind of almost is like a bit octopus-like. It's like has got tentacles which kind of suck onto the brick. So that's what he means by that.
And that's what leaves the marks on the brick when you actually take them off. It's those suction jobbies.
I think we're actually going to continue to work here today, just because there's actually quite a lot of tidying up to do. There's some pots here which are really have seen better days. They're in a bit of a state. This table and chairs needs a whole sanding and revarnishing. As you can see, it's an absolute state, but we'll probably sand and varnish another day. There's also this here. It's a big pile of kind of wood, and it actually leads to a cat flap, and the previous owners have basically put the cat flap in and then put this kind of all this wood here, piled up all this wood. It was kind of nice when we moved in.
Cool.
When we moved in, honestly, it just kind of looked rustic and different, and it was kind of almost like a jungle kind of experience for Leopold to kind of climb up this kind of big block of wood to get in through the cat flap. So he found it really fun, but of course it's nearly 5 years on and that wood has really rotted and it's just all crumbling and falling to pieces, so that needs to go. So what we're going to do is we're going to just clear out this spot, remove all of this wood, and thankfully we actually have a pile of the old original bricks from the building, which were left in the garage and we had left over from various projects, and actually kind of create like a little step formation for Leopold. So the bricks will be much better, much safer, obviously a lot drier, so they'll dry out a lot quicker, and hopefully it'll just look a little bit neater as well.
These are quite nice, aren't they?
I love those so much. I'm so excited to see those ones this year.
Delicate little flowers.
Yeah, they are very nice, Verbena. So we didn't get too much done on that last clip that you saw. I kind of really stopped after you saw us put all the bricks up. We're calling it the super highway for Leopold, and he has used it a few times and he seems to be happy with it, so that's great. But then our lovely neighbours phoned us and asked us to go around and help them lift something, so we popped around there and ended up chatting for a while. So haven't got too much else done, but anyway, I've decided that actually before I do those pots and plant those pots up, I really do need to just jet wash that patio area and just tidy it up a bit more, give it a bit more of a deep clean. So I'm going to do that as soon as the weather allows me to. It's much warmer today, which is great, and it's like blue sky. There are some grey clouds around, but we'll see whether I can get out this afternoon and do some jet washing, and then we're going to start to plant up our pots for the summer, which is very exciting. And we did stop at the garden centre the other day and pick up a few more bits which I saw, which caught my eye, which is lovely, and I'll show you them now. And then this morning we had another delivery of soil, so that's another 1 ton bag of soil, and that is going to be used. Oh, you can see those grey clouds behind me, it looks very dark over there. That soil is going to get used in the dahlia bed there. So the dahlia bed needs to get tidied and cleaned. I need to remove all of the leaf mulch that I've put on there, and then I need to add the soil back in to just top it up. So that is for that. And then these lovely little flowers that we've got. So before I get too much into the flowers, I do want to just say straight off the get-go, pronunciations on flowers and plants, not my forte. So I will try my best, but there's every possibility that I'm not pronouncing something correctly. So in those cases, we'll try and show you the labels. We've got some really nice options this year. I've got some Alstroemerias, which I am pronouncing correctly, I hope. And this one I've got is the Summer Paradise. So it's a lovely pink one. Really like Alstroemerias. They give you a lot of flowers through the year, which is, well, through the summer, which is great. But they're also really good for cutting and putting into vases. So they're really lovely from that perspective. The only thing I will say is that when we planted Alstroemerias in the back the first year, I looked up how you were supposed to actually, were you supposed to cut them, or how you were supposed to actually take the flower? And the instructions on YouTube from actual professional gardeners were to actually pull. So apparently each of these stems has basically got its own root system, its own individual kind of plant, almost like basil. And so apparently you were supposed to pull very gently from the soil. My Alstroemerias did not appreciate that technique at all. And I very quickly learned that actually, no, just cutting the flowers out was more than enough. Just cut them quite low, and then just take the whole flower and put that in some beautiful water in a vase, and it's a really lovely flower to have in the house. So that's what I'm going to keep doing, because that's what works for me. So we've got 2 Alstroemerias, so that's very exciting. We've got some Veronicas. Veronicas are really great for us. They work really well for us. They're really hardy, and they're rabbit resistant. Rabbits have never gone, nothing has ever gone for my Veronicas, which is great. This one is the Royal Candles, which is the blue. I think it's called like a spire flower, but basically it's like a tall, thin, skinny flower that you get. They're normally quite short, I think kind of this height, kind of calf height. Mine have never got any bigger than that. They're just really lovely. Once they flower, mine have never come back to me, so I don't know whether when they do die, the flower does die, whether if I just needs to deadhead it more and then I get another flush of flowers. But it's a really nice, easy plant. Stays quite bushy, dies back in the winter and then just comes back again next year. So they're a really kind of nice flower that just keeps repeating every year. And they come in different colors, but I always choose the blue. I'm a sucker for a blue flower. And then I got this one, which is new to us. It's Silene. I don't think we've ever grown Silene before. It seems to be, again, quite hardy, and I think it's going to come back every year. Kind of looks a bit like a lobelia kind of plant. So looks just bushy, and I think we're going to get little pink flowers off that, so I think that should be really good in the pot. I got a bunch of Heucheras because, quite frankly, I can't have enough Heucheras in my garden. I absolutely love Heucheras. The nice thing about Heucheras is they just come in so many colours. Mars has got, I think, marmalade. Yeah, you've got marmalade, which kind of gives you kind of like this kind of greeny gold top leaf, but the underside is like this really lovely kind of terracotta pinky colour. So it's really gorgeous. And then I got this one, which is new for me. It's Lemon Dinosaur. I don't think I've ever seen Lemon Dinosaur before. So it's really bright yellow and limey kind of green colours. And then I got this one, which is another new one that I haven't seen before. Pinky Panky. I love the names of some of these plants, they're brilliant. And on the label, it shows it as kind of green and pink and white speckles. But actually on the plant, it's just more kind of just the pink and the kind of whitish colors. And then on the underside, it's a really strong pink on the underside. I think if you need some color in your garden but you don't want flowers, or you don't have the right place for flowers, I think Heuchera are a fantastic, real easy thing to put into a garden, especially if you've moved into like a garden that hasn't really been developed, or maybe it's a new development garden, so it's just literally the grass and a border, so there's not an awful lot going on, and you need to add something, some interest to the garden quite quickly. Putting in a couple of shrubs like hebes and things, which gives you the bulk and the kind of green, but then in the front of the borders, lining up a whole bunch of different Heucheras, just gives you that color for like literally like 10 months of the year. They have survived the winter for me, which is fantastic, but they don't like getting waterlogged, and they don't like lots and lots of water, so they've kind of struggled through this winter, but they're coming back. So you know, I really can't say enough good things about Heuchera. The only thing is that you have to be careful with vine weevils. We lost a couple to vine weevils last year, and the vine weevils literally just took them out straight away. They just eat the root system and they just leave the top of the plant. So you kind of walk past and you're just like, what's going on? Well, why is the top of the plant loose? And then you just pull it and you're like, oh my goodness, it's come off. So you just got to be careful with vine weevils. But other than that, slugs, I've never had a problem with slugs or anything like that. No aphids, nothing like that. And they do flower. It is worth saying that they flower.
Yeah, this one here that I've got is called Sanguine White. And that's got quite long white flowers. So as you said, you know, nice colourful leaves.
Yeah.
With some nice flowers.
Yeah, they do flower. I mean, they don't flower very regularly or for a long time. And you literally just kind of get these long stems, and with a very dainty little flower on the top. It kind of almost looks like a wildflower. So very soft and delicate kind of flowers. Yeah, you're really, like, honestly, most of the time you're kind of buying it really for the kind of actual leaves of them.
For sure.
But they're just so pretty. And I would just say with Heuchera, if you're going to throw some Heuchera into the garden, you know, just choose like a variety of different colors. They will kind of almost double from this size. Mine hasn't got too much bigger than double this size. But, you know, having a couple of them together that contrast each other, honestly, you really will enjoy it. And then especially when you get into the winter and you've got the leaves on the trees changing colors around you, and then you look down and you've got the Heucheras in all different colors, your whole garden just takes on a whole different dimension. It is really worth doing. Then another thing, I always recommend checking out Morrison's. Morrison's always have some fantastic bargains, and I really think I've always picked up something every year at Morrison's. This is in the 2 for £3 section, and I got 2 lupins for £3, which is really amazing, because you go to the garden centre and you're going to be looking at, like, you know, kind of
£5 or £6 a pop, to be honest.
Yeah, I was going to go like 8 or 9, so depending on where you are in the country, but you know, 2 for £3 is just amazing. And I got this one, which is Legendary Blue. It's a really strong blue lupin. And then the only one that was left on the shelf was this one.
Cottage Garden Perennial Lupin. Legendary Rose.
So it's the rose version. So it's a lovely dusky kind of pink rose. So got those two, so they're going to go into the lupin and peony circle that I've got in the garden, so bolster that up with some new lupins this year. Then we got a couple of trays of pansies. I just like this one. I wasn't going to get pansies this year, quite honestly. I can't decide whether I like pansies or not. I do like them. Went to look at them when they're in full bloom and they're healthy. I really like them. When they get to the point where they need deadheading or they kind of die back and then in between flushes of blooms, I'm kind of not really sure if I like them. But I did get this one because I haven't seen this one before, this actual colouring, and this is called Marina, and I don't think I've seen Marina before. So this is a really lovely blue colour. So we got a couple of trays of those to go into the plant pots.
And the pansies, something I didn't know about until last year when you actually told me you can put them on salads.
Edible.
Because they are edible. So not only, I mean, they don't really taste of an awful lot, to be honest, but you can eat them. And it just gives a lovely pop of colour when you actually do make a salad or something like that. Just looks really nice, doesn't it?
If you've got flowers in your garden and you're interested or intrigued to know whether your flowers are edible, look them up and Google them, because you will be so surprised how many of your flowers in your garden are edible. It just blows my mind when I think about how many flowers that I can literally go out into our garden and we can eat and add to our salads. So you've got, like, for example, your dandelions, which we've got a huge dandelion weed growing next to us. It's absolutely massive. It's gonna have to, it's growing right in the patio and the tiles. Pansies, violas are edible.
The big one obviously is stinging nettles. Obviously you've got to be very delicate picking them, but they do make soups. You can do like a variety of different things with them. They're always quite handy.
If you're thinking about how to use them, we throw them in some salads. If we're making a dessert, you can just put them on top of the cake to decorate a cake, which is really pretty. Oh, sorry, roses, your rose petals are edible. So there's so many different things you could do with it, even adding some petals to your ice cube tray and then filling it with water. And then when you throw your ice cubes into the drinks in the summer, you've got beautiful colors going through your ice cubes. So lots of different things you can do with edible flowers.
And one more, borage for your gin and tonics.
Borage is amazing.
It's a winner.
Yeah, borage is really an amazing flower because it tastes really cucumbery, and your nasturtiums and things.
Nasturtium's the big one too, yeah.
Yeah.
So many.
And then we have had this before, which is a verbena. We've got lots of different types of verbena in the garden. You can get really, really tall ones, which is what we've got in the field. We've had verbenas before for the pots. I think it was super verbena. But this one we haven't tried before, and this is the Tricolour Verbena, which is so exciting. It's going to have 3 different colours of flowers on the one plant, which I think is so incredible. So you get a white bloom, and then you've got this beautiful hot pink, and then a beautiful deep purple. So you get 3 colours of one plant. So that is an absolute winner. I love that. So we're going to be definitely putting that into the pots. And then something I've wanted for a really long time. It's the wrong colour, because it was the only colour they had at the garden centre, but because I have wanted this for such a long time, I didn't care. I just wanted to get it and start with it and see how it goes in our garden. And this is a Centranthus rubber. Basically it's a valerian, or not basically, it is a valerian. And valerian, maybe you'll think of for valerian root if you've seen it in any herbal shops or your organic shops, because it's supposed to be very calming. So you see something like valerian root tablets and supplements and things that you can take, valerian root sprays, that kind of thing. But the reason why I wanted it was because here in Wales, you get valerian everywhere in the summer. When you're driving down the country roads, you're driving through the villages, you see valerian everywhere. But the variety you see is the red valerian or the pink. It's a really dark pink valerian. So basically it's a beautiful it's a real soft, these leaves are so very, very soft. And then you get these beautiful flowers. They look like wildflowers, and they're just really delicate kind of flowers that come off the top, but you get masses of them. So you'll get like one bush and it'll just be, the whole thing will be flowers. So you can barely see the bush. Really hardy. They self-seed, and I think they must spread like crazy because obviously, they have spread everywhere. what I'm really hoping to do is actually put some kind of down the side of our house and see if it does spread around the base of our house and creates that beautiful flower, and almost kind of like a wildflower that just comes back year after year and just amasses itself and just grows on and naturalizes and just expands everywhere.
That'd be nice.
So this one is the Albus, which is the white. The reason why I got the white was actually because I wanted it, but also because the chap I was talking to in the garden centre, he said the reason why they had actually got the white in is because it's actually more kind of not rarer, but more sought after. It's more difficult to get hold of. So I just thought, well,
nice.
At least it's a start. So we'll start with that and have some valerian growing and see if it kind of spreads and does its thing.
Cool.
And then one of the final things we got was just another Nepeta. We've got a few Nepetas in the garden. It's almost like a cat mint in that the cats eat it and they just love it. They want to rub themselves all over it. They just absolutely love it. Some people have a bit of a love-hate relationship with Nepeta because it goes really bushy like this. It really does expand. It'll go maybe 3 times the size of this. Then it will get a spread of blue flowers over it, really pretty blue flowers, kind of almost like a giant lavender looking kind of flower, and are really great for cutting and throwing in a vase in the kitchen. But then once that has gone over and those flowers have died, the whole thing kind of tends to kind of collapse, kind of loses its energy, and then it kind of ends up being a bit messy. So people kind of don't like it when it's at that messy stage. I personally don't mind it. Our garden is obviously very country and very kind of relaxed and rustic, if you like. So for us, it can get lost. You can't really notice it too much when it goes to the messy stage. And what I like about it is in the winter then, it lasts really long into the winter, kind of like into maybe November, December time. And then I'll shear it to the ground and just cut all of this off right to there. And then it will just come back itself. And even with a lot of the things we have lost this year because of the snow and the cold, the Nepeta has just come back just as strong as ever. So again, if you're looking for something, if you've got cats at home and you're looking for something to pop into the garden that's safe for them, that they'll love and enjoy, and you'll get some nice blue flowers from, and it will come back year after year, then a Nepeta is a really good one. This is Purrsian blue. The chap at the garden centre said this is basically a new variety, maybe just for him, I don't know, or onto the market, I'm not sure, but he said it's a new variety. And he said what he likes about it is when he tried and tested it before he started selling it last year, he said the Purrsian blue is much more condensed and has a less of that kind of floppiness in between and not as messy. So he said he really liked it. It was compact, it wasn't as messy, and he thought it was really tidy. He said it's a very tidy Nepeta. There's lots and lots of different things to plant. So we're going to be busy, and it's going to be great to finally get the pots looking refreshed and pretty and ready, and then ready for the next bank holiday. So many bank holidays, it's crazy. And then I'll hopefully, with the coronation and the celebration for that and the barbecue, everything will look beautiful and tidy and pretty. Our daffodils and our tulips are still looking absolutely gorgeous. So just get the pots tidied up and we'll be on our way.
So I hope that you're enjoying your bank holiday weekend. We hope that you've enjoyed this week's vlog, and we'll see you next week.
Yeah, have a great bank holiday, guys, and enjoy, relax, enjoy the extra day off work, and we will see you in next week's vlog. Take care. Bye.